Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Procurement, the only show you need, yes you handsome, to master the art of procurement. Hello everyone and welcome back to season 2, somewhere in the middle of it. We are back with another average episode, so thank you for joining us, thank you for strapping in and pressing play. With me as always is a man who is known for his wonderfully fresh haircut, his incredible ability to do short distance sprints, and also his skills with a whistle. Introducing Luke 10. Hello my friend, how are you? It's been a while.
Thank you. I'm happy, pleased with that description. That's better than I normally get. It's all true. It's all true as well. Yeah, I mean, what more could a man want to be than someone who's good at sprinting short distances, has a good haircut, and has good skills with the whistle? I mean, I'm glad you didn't say good blowing skills.
I've not verified that one yet. But I will ask your SIPS tutor, because apparently he might know.
It's a she. You sexist. I mean, that rolls nicely into where we are. What should we call we need like a section title. Need to be like, and here's today's update on.
Yeah.
Like
so in my mind at least, it's a procurement journey. It's a road. It's I don't know if you've heard that famous quote by who's it by? Was it Mahatma Gandhi? Totally making that up. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I feel that the first part of this journey has been you static on the first step, looking at the journey for a good year or two, you know, almost ready to pluck up the courage for your first step. And I think let's introduce it as Luke's journey, see where he is on his journey and if he's managed to take a step forward or if he's just staying static. Listeners, I know you think he's gone backwards, so let's hear from the horse's mouth or from the duck's bill. Luke 10, have you made any progress?
Now it's time for
Welcome to Luke 10's brand new mini-series, Luke's Legendary Leap.
So, I've attended my first two classroom days.
Ooh.
Actually, should I recap on where I am? So, I am going to be undertaking the SIPS Advanced Practitioner course.
Ooh.
Thank you. So that is level 5 and 6 combined.
Ooh.
And what it is you have to do 6 assignments, all of varying lengths, some longer than others.
Sorry, just for you listeners, because I know it's hard to picture what he's doing on a podcast. He's just, with his hands, he's just kind of done a long tubey motion. Picture a toilet roll, and then you've got both hands around it, and now you're extending that toilet roll back and forward. That's kind of what he's doing.
Like a slinky, you're pulling apart and putting it back together.
Yeah, that's it. Lots of wrist action. Sorry, just setting the scene for the listeners. Carry on.
Yeah. So hopefully, as long as I pass every assignment first time, I should become a member of the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply within 18 months.
So this is my problem. Like, you've just introduced it to the listeners, and then you've gone straight to the fact that you think you'll be qualified in 18 months. Not what you're doing for your first essay or kind of what the first assignment is and things like that. You've just gone, fuck it, I'll just tell them when I'm going to be God again. Well,
I was saying the overall context before diving into the detail.
A cheeky little top-down approach.
So the first module is leadership and management in procurement and supply.
Ooh.
And my task is to write a 3,000-word business report in quotation marks that assesses approaches to leadership and management within my organisation.
Brother.
Yeah,
That
nice.
sounds that sounds vile.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because you've been asked to expose flaws with your leadership team and your employment. So
Yeah,
What
isn't
you
that
gonna-
great? That's a great opportunity, no? You know, I have to tell them what they're doing wrong. So I don't want to, but I have to.
oh yeah, when you say it like that, do you have to show them the final article?
I don't think I do, technically. So what happens is so I write it, it gets sent into SIPs who mark it, and they might decide to moderate it, but apart from that, I think it's only me and SIPs people that are required to view it.
So, how do you feel about publishing it for the listeners when you submitted it?
Well, I haven't wrote a single word yet, so I don't know if it'll be appropriate.
I reckon if we get enough interest from the listeners, we should make it available on our website or something like that, so they can have a little cheeky little read and a little bit of banter.
I'm wondering how that would work for plagiarism sake. So you look at me being the sensible one.
No, so we'll obviously wait till you've submitted it and got your results back and stuff. So if anyone plagiarizes it, they're the ones who get, done.
Or we just put it out there. We don't tell what grade it got, but it actually turns out that I failed all of them.
Oh yeah. But
So
why don't
you're
we
just copying a fail report?
Why don't we do three of them, and the listeners have to vote which one's your actual work, which one's a piss take that I've written, and which one's done by ChatGPT.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't mind spending my time on pretending to be you writing an essay. I feel like that could be funny.
I reckon ChatPG Tips will do the best one out of all of us.
Oh, probably. But you can kind of tell when someone's using AI because it feels over the top and salesy, kind of like my intro to the pod. Just that little bit too much. It's like, calm down.
Are you AI?
No.
You are looking very smart today. You've got a shirt on for some reason.
Yes, I do. To be honest, I've got folding to do. That's one of my chores as a man of the house is to fold the clean and dry clothes. And I haven't done it, and there's a big ass basket of stuff I need to fold. So this morning when I woke up, the first thing I did was just kind of like think of like a lucky dip. I just put my hand in, pulled something out, and it was this rather formal looking shirt, and I thought, oh well, I'll stick with that. Saves me folding in the future, and you want to look as good as you feel, right?
Yeah, and that's making me think it's probably quite a good system if you just left things in the basket as they were and just did a bit of a lucky dip every time you wanted to wear something.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't have to fold anything at all, would you?
I mean, that was great until yesterday when I did try that, and it was my wife's skirt.
Dude, that's the game. That's the game. You have to wear it.
Yeah, the boss wasn't too happy. No, of course not. So, anything for the boys and girls listening on the bulletin?
What was my update not enough?
Oh, was that your update? Is that part of the bulletin? I thought it was a new section.
It's a new section within the bulletin.
Oh, for fuck's sake. The CEO of segmentation's doing like these inception segmentations. Oh. What was that little hand movement?
It was the segment was docked within the other segment.
So the segment is a fist, and
Yeah.
you were docking the fist in a kind of open
In another
hand.
segment. Yeah.
Wow. I think we need to move to video podcasting so people can see this absolute beautiful sign language.
This is going to be such a bad episode, I can tell already.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, go on.
So, guess what we are talking about today, boys and girls, men and women, dogs and cats?
That's
All
actually a
again.
good market that we could exploit. Podcasts for dogs and cats.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. I think they'll be interested in procurement. Who's a good boy?
Can they procure their own cat food?
Let's find
How
out.
to procure some food.
Or how to procure a cat.
How to procure new owners.
Yes, help the boys and girls out. Right. Today's topic is things we do not like about being a procurement professional. You look surprised, Luke.
Yeah.
You don't remember,
I
you don't
don't know
remember
what
planning?
Did we plan this?
Yeah, I sent you a text about half an hour before we went live saying, this is the topic.
Did I read that text? Probably. I think I actually put thumbs up to it now I think about it, but I forgot.
Yes.
So
look, I know there's a lot of people interested. What is procurement? What do procurement do? Should I have a career in procurement? Is procurement for me? And I thought, well, you know what? We're very positive. We love glazing procurement quite a bit, and the project managers roast us, and we tried to roast them back a little bit. Shout out to that episode if you've not had a listen to that. And I thought, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. I don't know why I said that again today. Maybe that's phrase of the day. What we believe are the frustrating sides of being a procurement professional.
are you asking me, or is that with space for the intro?
No, that was the space. That was just, I thought you might come in and be like, okay, well, here's my first thought, but no, there's a lot going on.
Someone outside just shouted really loudly as if they'd fallen off a ladder and hurt themselves, so...
Give a fuck. We got a podcast to record.
So, procurement is an interesting subject. There's good things about it. There's bad things about it. Potentially, the worst thing, and it's really, really such a struggle, is sitting in those ivory towers. We're there in our air-conned office. Sometimes the aircon's on too cold on a hot day. Sometimes the heat is on too high on a cold day. We're sat there in the office just procuring people. We don't know what's happening with the people actually using the product.
Yeah.
The people on the front line. That's tough for us, It's tough for us to sit in our cushioned chairs and
you get a bit emotional.
Think. We're trying to think. We're trying to use our brain. Sometimes there's nothing up there, but it's difficult.
Well, I want to give you a hug, man. That's really emotional. Oh,
Maybe
there's
play
a
some
tear.
sad music.
Yeah. So I was thinking a bit more, around the jobs in general, as opposed to you and your ivory tower and your cushion armchair.
No, I was sort of taking the piss because procurement is quite often part of a team, and not a team full of procurement people. So normally a project team with multi-discipline, multi-functional roles. Eyebrow raise from Luke 1 there. So it can be like you're the only one in your corner fighting for what you want to do.
Oh my god, he's got Rocky Balboa. No, absolutely. I think, look, when we talk about skills you need for the jobs, in previous episodes, it's always about stakeholder management and how important that can be. And actually, one of the biggest frustrations can be if your stakeholders have had bad experiences with procurement before, if they don't really understand procurement, if there's aspects of it that they kind of doubt or question, then it puts you in a hard point. So you kind of off to a bad start with people's preconceptions over what procurement is, which, yeah.
Let me link some sips into this, because now I've done my classroom days. I would like to talk about the study of French and Raven sources of power. So some may know this. It's a list of sources of individual power, and it's a study done by French and Raven. So there could be things like legitimate power, where you have power because of what your role is. Could be, expert power because you've got power of certain knowledges that are in demand. What I think is potentially one that could be applied to this example is referent power. So the power that is power of having another person admire you, but that could also be flipped the other way, of the fear of being excluded. So for example, if you do a bad job for one stakeholder, well, bad job in quotation marks, if you delay the process with one stakeholder, they talk to their other mates in their team and their group of project managers, they talk about each other and they go, oh, that procurement person, you just delayed my project by 5 weeks, I'm not getting a bonus now, or I'm hitting my end of year target. That could lead to you being excluded socially, and that's a form of power that we have to be aware of in our procurement role.
Yeah, that's a nice little bit of SIPsology there. So is there the legitimate power? I think is something that procurement often have. Not necessarily legitimate power in the sense of over everything that goes on in the organisation, but usually we're assigned control over the subcontractor space, right? So we'll be the ones signing off deals, negotiating with deals, working with finance to make sure that it's appropriate and in line with what we should be spending. And I think more often than not, that kind of legitimate power is seen as almost like red tape, as though someone in the business has gone off and tried to buy something or tried to negotiate something, and then they feel that they then have to go and explain everything they've done or try and justify it to the procurement person just to get it signed off. And I think that can be a source of frustration for the business. And if I'm being open and honest, I think that's a big frustration for probably procurement professionals in nearly every organisation, because we want to be collaborative, supportive and involved from the start. But actually that can be quite difficult when you're a small team of people covering a sizable organisation, or that will have turnover and it will have new people coming in who don't know the processes, etc. So I do think there are challenges there, and I think that's where having that legitimate power is a positive thing in reality, but actually it can become a negative because people then put pressure on you to try and sign up to deals or things that you haven't been involved in or you're not necessarily comfortable with.
Yeah, and for example, a procurement director who has, signatory authority has the ability to say, no, I'm not signing that deal with the supplier. And they've got that ability and power because of their role.
Yeah, and I think that goes on nicely to the next bit that I feel was probably a downside to the job, and it's education around what procurement do and what procurement look for. Because if we are saying no to a supplier, we're not just saying no because we don't like them, because the sales guy's a twat. That's not always the reason, right? It's usually because with the support of other business experts or with our own due diligence, we've had a review of the company, and in our conclusion, the company is either not fit for trading with, is not stable enough or secure enough, or the constructs of the deal that we are supposedly signing off is not on favourable contractual terms. So all of those reasons are perfectly legitimate reasons to not agree a contract, right? And I think people without the understanding of procurement and perhaps understanding of, I guess, what a contract actually is, are quite often saying, well, we've already got the supplier doing the work, we're already engaged, we're already doing this, that and the other. We just need to sign off the paperwork. And actually, just signing off the paperwork isn't just signing off the paperwork, right? That's literally your commitment to the supplier in blood that is saying, this is what we're going to give you, this is what you're going to give us. So the business that don't have that educational understanding or appetite to learn it, they just don't understand, don't want to get engaged, and that can be a real frustration, I think.
So would you say that we're often quite in the middle of things in terms of you've got people who want one outcome this side, one outcome that side. Sometimes you can feel a bit in the middle, you're trying to balance things, which links to my point is sometimes, especially at the low, when you're kind of early in your career in procurement, can sort of feel a bit like you're just doing a sort of admin task. Like you've got the technical people who have been chosen to work on this project because they've got a high level of technical knowledge. You've got the legal people who know in depth about, the country's law and how different contract terms can do different magical things. And if you don't have experience in either of them, sometimes you can just feel like the only dumb fish in a pond. That's my analogy.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you say that, because actually you don't know what other people don't know until you have a conversation with them. And the reason that's important is because actually someone who is a technical expert on a software product that you are buying will have no clue, even though in their head they have a clue, will have no clue about how your organization wants to go to market to find a supplier for buying XYZ. They don't understand or have the knowledge of the appropriate processes, what the committed spend is going to be, and then how we get that signed off within the organization. What is a good supplier versus what is a potential dodgy looking supplier. So, even early stages in your career, you will be able to highlight some red flags, from a Dun & Bradstreet report, or from kind of, even Googling, you can see some of the latest news and see if they've been subject to a breach or some sort of negative press. So there's lots of things you can do. And I think early on in your career, whilst it feels like that's kind of basic common sense to you, actually it's quite valuable because you're the one who's being paid to consider that. The other people aren't.
I did used to think that procurement as a job in some companies could just be done by someone else, but then sort of realised that firstly you can have a bigger impact than just sort of passing emails back and forth, and also
what you're saying there is probably a typical non-procurement person's attitude to procurement.
Yeah.
Which is, and I think if you look online and look at frustrations in procurement, you'll always find that it's people's almost disrespect for procurement and what they do. We say it all the time. We are not just going on to Amazon, signing in and buying whatever we feel like to get next day delivery for the business. Like it's just not that. There's so much more to it. And I think what I would say is when procurement is done well, you don't hear much from your procurement team, right? You don't get much. The business kind of just go, oh, everything's great, like it's as it should be. You don't go, it's amazing. You just go, it's as it should be. The moment things go wrong, everyone's looking at procurement going, well, you signed off the contract. You're the supplier manager. You look after this supplier. You've got the contacts. Well, you idiots have been dealing with the supplier on the ground day to day. Yet you didn't want to engage me when we onboarded the supplier, but now you want to come to me because you fucked up? Because you didn't want to listen then. Are you going to listen now? And that's a massive frustration. It's almost like, as well, you'd say if someone in legal gives you an answer to a question you ask, you take it as the answer. If someone in finance gives you an answer, you say, okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll take that on board. If you ask a procurement professional a question, how often does the business go, yeah, okay, thanks for that answer, but I'm going to go to my manager, or I'm going to go to your manager, or I'm going to disrespect you and ask someone else?
It is true. But then I also think that the environments that we're operating in are different. Like legal, maybe less so for legal, but for finance, for example, do we have the budget for that? Yes or no? Pretty black and white. Legal, are these terms going to open us up to unnecessary risk? It's a calculated decision. Procurement is similar to that legal one, but I think it's just not. I do agree with you, it's not taken as seriously.
So finance will say, you could ask finance, look, I want to spend £1 million with a supplier. Can you make the budget work? And if a finance person says, it's not going to work with the cash flow, they say no. and you go, okay, fine, we'll save it for next year, or we'll look to reduce the price. If a procurement person says, oh no, you haven't got £1 million in your budget for this, it's not in the budget, I've seen the briefcase, I've reviewed it, you can't get it. All they're going to do is go to their finance manager and say, well, procurement are saying no, but can we just double check that? Is there anything you can do to move it around? And so I do think we get disrespected in a lot of ways. Like you said, they feel like we're pencil pushing or kind of admin, where actually there's so much more to it to keep operations running as smooth as possible.
Yeah, and that's also another full of smooth links today. Another smooth link to something I was thinking about: administrative burden / process heavy, especially in the public sector. It's quite regimented.
Yeah, I mean, anything in the public sector has to be quite regimented.
It's spending public money.
Yeah, and obviously there's pressure that comes with that. It is a bit process driven, but anything that could expose a business for, fraud, negative press, poor marketing, anything like that, or collapse your business model, should have a level of due diligence and kind of steps that need to go in for authorizing those sort of things. So like if you're going to bid for a new contract, you don't just bid on every single bid that comes out and just hope that you win some of them. You take a strategic approach. Like if a bid came out and said supply Russia with weapons, you're not just going to bid that. You're going to go, hang on a second, does our company want to be linked to Russia? Do we want to be, are we an arms dealer? Do we want to be going down this route? And the answer is probably no, right? So flip it around and someone's asked us to engage a supplier, but that supplier also has operations in Russia that could be providing ammunition to them, but actually we need them to do something for us. And it's their UK branch, so why do we care? But as a procurement professional, you say, well, hold on a minute, we do care because that company is happy to supply ammunitions to someone that our country is, in a fractured relationship with at the moment. So there's all those considerations. It's like you're not just going to pump in Chinese manufactured goods into your public sector area, are you? Like there's just lots of things you have to be considerate of, because otherwise you'll just get fucked over and your reputation will be damaged. Imagine a newspaper that says, oh, Luke 10 hired this supplier who are dealing Russian arms, arms dealers into Russia.
My first question would be, have I got a saving on that rebate?
Oh, yeah, have you got a rebate, to be fair? Yeah.
Rebate overpowers everything, as we know.
That is true. Yeah, so all policy just goes to shit if you can get a good saving.
Yeah, straight facts. And procurement always just go for the lowest price possible. They don't care about anything else. So
yeah, fuck quality. Like if we've got a discount and we can show it, who cares if the item works or not?
I would like to expose myself of something that I have done.
There's a big gap there. I was getting nervous.
A mistake that I have made as a procurement person. So I helped implement this contract with company A and company V. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we brought in company B as a new supplier for something, got rid of the old company, the incumbent, brought the new company in. New company's performance was really bad, but the contract, the price that I bought in was cheaper than the old one.
Yeah.
So I was only doing the procurement part of it. The contract management was by someone else. So while the company's performance was bad, I was trying to log the saving for the previous, the difference from the previous company, and I had to get it signed off by the business manager of the person who was, using the services of the new company that was awful. And that was an interesting conversation where he was just like, he didn't say anything bad, but he was sort of like, don't piss me off. basically.
Yeah, like you cost him more money basically by screwing up the service to a degree.
Yeah, but because the initial purchase price was cheaper, I just decided to try and log that as a saving.
You know what I find interesting? It kind of links from that is, and I don't know if it's a negative thing of the job, and I don't know if every organisation is the same like this. So if any listeners have experience, I'd be interested to know. But when we talk about sales, we say sales love to win a deal and then take their commission and sod off. Procurement, is it the same? Do we just negotiate with our suppliers, sign a contract, bag our savings, and then sod off? Do you feel like that?
I do feel like that. Not all companies, but I think companies where there's a procurement function versus companies where there's a commercial and contract management function. If you think about the life cycle, the series that we're doing at the moment, one of about 18 series that we've got on the go, the procurement life cycle, or what's it called? What's the actual name for it? Contract life cycle? Don't know. But anyway, procurement is just a small part of that. And once the contract is signed, is where a lot of people tend to just leave it to the business, pass it to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's potentially where you'd see a lot of the value realised. Because, if the supplier is underperforming, if you've been smart in the procurement process and the contract process, you can put in service levels. You can get money back from the supplier for them underperforming, key performance indicators, things like that. But
shout out to Big Nige, because Big Nige did actually talk about the importance of having your own supplier relationship managers as a role, as opposed to just bolting it onto a project management team, and that was really interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, shout out to Big Nige. Why we keep calling him Big Nige, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like Nige is just one of those names that just sounds good with the word big in front, doesn't it?
Big Luke. Doesn't really work as well.
No. Big 10. That's what Big 10.
Big 10. I can't remember where I was with that point, so I'm going to move on to a new point. And it's a controversial one. And from a purely cynical point of view, we might have to cut this out. But anyway.
It's fine. I said I booted a baby earlier, so don't worry about it.
So this doesn't apply to public sector, but, and let me flesh out my whole message. The headline, the clickbait headline is, does what we're doing in procurement in terms of our number one objective of savings, does that really matter? That's the headline, right?
Yeah.
Does saving money really matter? And if you're purely cynical about it, you think, private sector, I'm saving money to go into someone else's pocket. Whereas public sector is different, because you're saving money for the government, and the government can reinvest that in other services. Private sector savings, question mark, do they really matter?
What do you, mate, the whole idea, if you're working for a company and you're trying to improve the company's profit margins, which we are doing by reducing the costs, in theory, you're increasing the profitability of the company you work for, which in turn means the company does better, and in theory they are then able to share a portion of those profits with A, the shareholders, which you might be as part of a shareholder scheme, but also B, reimburse you for your efforts by increasing your pay. However, the reality is, it's the big cheeses over the top that siphon off all the money anyway. But of course they matter. They matter to the business. And if you were running your own business and you were the one creaming off the profits, you'd absolutely love savings. So I think it does matter. What I would say is, and it can be a frustration. I'd love to hear if any of you listeners have this in your jobs, that a procurement team that gives you commission based on your savings, because sales is known for being heavily commission based, right? Based on whatever they sell, and normally they sell things that their company doesn't even know how to make yet. But procurement will make savings, pure savings that you can see in your profit and loss accounts, right? your end of your bottom line is being changed by what we are doing. So why is there not a tangible benefit attached to that based on our performance?
You know, that's the second time in 2 days that this topic has come up for me. And what we settled on yesterday was that it seems to happen a bit more in America, but doesn't really happen in the UK and Europe.
Okay, interesting.
But apparently it does happen in America.
So, can I suggest another frustration with the procurement role? And it's less about other people; it's more about procurement systems. I've not yet come across an ERP, sort of a planning tool, for issuing tenders and everything else like that is seamless. I think they all seem to be a bit glitchy, clunky, and I guess because they're not customer-facing tools, they don't seem to be that great. And quite often, I feel like we're using old-style technology and things. So, our contracts databases can be quite heavy, clunky, click-intensive. I just don't feel like they've mastered the user experience compared to other things.
I guess for me, I don't really know any different, so I'm not sure if I can comment on that one, but it does remind me what you said there about it's not customer facing. So, sales teams, account management teams, they're often valued quite highly in organisations and subsequently paid fairly well. Whereas procurement is sort of like, can you be self-funding as a department? Can you sort of just
justify your
hire some randoms and get them to do it, rather than we'll hire the best account management people, the best sales people to try and rizz up the customer and win some good deals. As as is evidenced by us two, any old ugly
schmuck can anyone can do procurement, obviously.
Anyone can just wake up and do procurement. So
no, you are right, and I think that's a strategic decision by businesses, and it's how much they value the different areas. And sales will always be valued because they bring in new business, and that's great for growth. But actually, a lot of profit and kind of ongoing stability comes from existing business that you are maintaining and delivering well. And if that involves a supply chain, then you better hope that you've got good procurement people all over that supply chain.
So what was the point of the episode today? To put people off procurement?
No, so not necessarily to put it off, but I think if you're going to be a procurement podcast, you've got to talk about the highs and the lows. And I think sometimes we're always glazing, and I think this time let's just shed some light on some of the frustrations that we've had, and I think some other procurement people have as well. And I think if anyone listening has frustrations that they want to share with us, let us know, and we can kind of read them out in future episodes, because I do feel that it can almost be like a agony aunt, but for procurement. So a supply chain Sally, if you like, and we'll console you with your frustrations, and we'll give you some insights as to how we deal with them, or don't.
And if you want Luke 1's shrimp to be renamed Man, I Feel Like a Shrimp by Shrimpnia Twain, then email in, text in. The email is 2lukes1sip@gmail.com. That's the number 2, Luke's plural, the number 1, CIP@gmail.com.
And as always, the email is in the description, so it might be easier just to click on that. We have a get in touch via text button, so that's another fantastic way to reach out. And equally, if you have made it this far, absolutely love it if you could smash a like button, hit a thumbs up, drop us a 5-star, send us some nudes, whatever you want. We're all down for it. We'll see you in the next one.
See you later.
Farewell.